One of the biggest value points when it comes to honing your intuition and why I think everyone should is knowing how to navigate through a difficult time with the most ease as possible. I'm going to elaborate on this today. I'm going to elaborate how to use your intuition in such a way to help you with this navigation, but also what does it mean to be in the flow versus not in the flow? I'll even give you a couple of examples, but this is probably, if someone said to me, what is the most valuable reason to hone your intuition? This one would be up at the top. So, welcome to today's podcast. Let's get started. I'm going to come out of the gate a little hot here and say that as a former skeptic, right? And I still hold some of my skepticism, which I think has gotten me where I am today in such a wonderful way. But as a former solid skeptic, almost 20 years ago now, I saw absolutely no value in this concept of intuition. And I thought, why? What's the point? When all success is, and this is how I used to think, all success is pushing further, faster, harder, forward, just keep going, keep going, keep going. Something will stick, something will work, something will stick, something will work. And at the age of 32, life-changing event kind of happened and my grandmother passed. She showed up in my living room. I said, holy crap. And then I investigated to find out if that was real. Fast forward, it was. She gave me proof I couldn't deny. And now here I sit. I've taught well over 10,000 or so students the Sage Method course. It's a 7-week course. And I've watched so many people change their lives through opening up their intuition. And so there is no way you can get me to say it's not worth it. It's not worth it to open up your intuition. And even if you are already using your intuition, it is worth it to hone it, to really expand it and dive into the strengths that you actually have access to. This is where my passion of teaching it comes. This is what it's all about because I've seen what happens for people when they do. And the number one thing that happens that is so wonderful to witness for someone else is witness for someone else, for myself to witness in someone else or for someone. You get my point. The number one thing that is the most rewarding is to witness someone using their intuition to navigate a difficult situation. Also with some clarity around understanding that you can't navigate or intuitively intuit your way out of a situation, but using your intuition to stay present, stay focused, have spiritual and intuitive eyes on the energetics and the vibration around the situation that you're navigating makes all the difference in the world. And what I call this is being in the flow. What it means to be in the flow is that when you open up intuitively and you're using all 6 of your senses and not just 5 of them, but when you're using all 6 of your natural 6 senses, which we used for years and years and years until we decided to stop using the 6th sense, and then it culturally became a thing. Scoobity, 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 here we are today, right? And people are starting to go, wait a minute. I want to start using the 6th sense thing again because it seems like it makes sense. And it does. So you go through a struggle, times are tough. And when you tap in and you follow the energetics and the spirituality and your path, and you're connected with all 6 of your senses, you're able to navigate through a life situation that you probably have to walk through, but you're able to navigate it in such a way that it's not as difficult as it could be. We'll put it that way. I am not a fan of toxic positivity or toxic spirituality. You're not going to hear me say, well, everything happens for a reason. Yes, everything happens for a reason. Everything always works out for me. I get it. And I do understand that. But what I understand more is being human and having a human experience, right? We're here to have that experience. So with all that said, what is the flow? The flow is being in the flow intuitively, means that you live intuitively. You've honed your intuition in such a way for your own personal growth that you can have it kind of in your back pocket, or have it to be able to lean on or check in with it, or maybe it will give you a heads up because you're in the flow. Your channel is open, your intuitive channel is open. And I don't mean like predicting the future of this or that, or, I mean using your intuition in day to day situations. The flow is when you're in an intuitive state, in the flow, you have highs and lows like you normally have in your life, but the highs are just a little bit higher, a little bit more joyful, a little bit more experience and nuances and beauty to them. And the lows, here's the key, are not as low. Are they still there? Heck yeah. Absolutely, they're still there. They're 100% still there. You have to have them. Again, I'm not big on the whole, right? So now I do have the mantra, everything always works out for me. It's one of my favorite mantras ever, but we still have the lows. Let me give you a fun example. And I've talked about this before, so if you've heard this before, forgive me, but this is a great example, fits perfectly in this moment. There was a time when I was driving to an event or appointment. I don't even remember what the appointment was now. And we had gone through financial turmoil back in 2008, big surprise. And I had a used car that was given to me by a friend. Wonderful. And it was what was it? It was an old I want to say it was an old Volvo. It was this classic old Saab. I think it was an old, that's what it was. It was an old Saab. Wow. That took a minute to pull back up from memory because this was like 17 years ago, 18 years ago. And I had this old car. I'm driving to my appointment. It's just me in the car. And all of a sudden I'm in the flow. I've been using my intuition every single day, reminding myself I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, and come up to a stop sign and it turns red and I stop. And all of a sudden I can hear a voice say, the car is going to break down. Now, here's the thing about this old used car. It was a tank. It never broke down. It lasted for months and months and months. And I would brag about how great this car was, that it would never break down because it's in such perfect shape, right? So this message that came through intuitively, like kind of popped in my head, didn't match my belief around the car. So I had to stop and say, something's going on. I wonder if I should probably listen to this. That's the other thing. When you open up intuitively and you start getting messages from guides and your higher self, you should probably listen to them. And I turned and I looked out the passenger side window and there was a mechanic and I was in the right lane. And I was like, you know what? Wouldn't hurt just to turn in there. I don't know why. I'm just going to turn in there. I'm 5 minutes ahead of my appointment. So I took a right at the light, pulled into the mechanic. It was like a something big, huge mechanic. And I was trying to think of the name of it, but I can't. I pulled into the parking spot and the car died. Like it died. I pulled in, put it in park, and the car died. And I was like, get out of here. You can't make this up. No way. So I was like, okay, all right. And I wasn't even paying attention to the beautiful fact that I listened to my intuition. I followed it. It was the right thing to do. I went in and I said, hey, I don't know what happened, but I just pulled in and my car died. And the guy was like, no problem. We have a really light workload today. I'm actually going to pull it right on in and see what happened for you. And I was like, thank you so much. And I'm in the waiting room. Now I'm going to be late to my appointment. And I'm thinking, oh no. And he comes out and he's like showing me this little piece of plastic. And he's like, oh yeah, this busted. So we replaced it. It's like $5. And then that was it. And he just sent me on my way. And the car was fixed. I was about 15 minutes late. And I just remember that day to this day. I'll never forget it because here are some key factors in this experience. Because I listened to my intuition, because I was in the flow, I didn't have to get a tow truck. I didn't have to ask for help from people to like push it out of the way. I didn't miss my appointment by 2 hours. I was late to my appointment by 15 minutes. I still had the low. It was gonna happen. It was supposed to happen. But because I was in the flow and because I practiced living intuitively, I was able to listen to it, take the chance on my intuition, let it guide me just enough. I had a little window there, and it worked out the least painful way that it could. That is what it means to be in the flow. That is the value of opening up your intuition. Now, we can apply this to more difficult situations because I got to tell you, that is not even close to some of the difficult situations I've been in before. Um, because, I'm kicking right around here at 51. Right? I've been married, I've been divorced, I had 2 kids, like, what you got when once you get a lifetime under your belt, and for some, not even that long of a lifetime, you've got enough experiences that you're like, "Yeah, I've had some lows," and sometimes your intuition can help through really, really hard times as well, and it can help in such a way that it can encourage you, it can help you keep your eye on the goal of where you're headed, it can help you navigate to the goal in the safest and the easiest way. It can help you be your own compass to know how fast to move forward and what direction to move forward. There's two different experiences. There's running through the woods with a blindfold on and just kind of bouncing off a couple trees. And then there's taking off that blindfold and running through the woods and being able to avoid a few. You might still, your shoulder might hit one. You might trip on a rock, right? Just go hiking with me. Happens frequently. But it's two different experiences. And the difference between those two experiences, you still have to run through the woods. And running through the woods can be tough. It can be a low, but you still have to do it. And the difference between the two experiences is when you bring your intuition in your day to day life and you live intuitively, you can navigate that experience with as much ease as possible. Does it make it go away? Does it make it all better? Not necessarily, not every time. On a rare occasion, maybe. But you're here to have all of your experiences. And the best way to have all of your experiences is intuitively. I'll leave you with this. The other side of this is living intuitively and having a high moment in your life. Having a moment where you hit a peak of something and you've worked hard and you got there and you have this heightened moment. And because you're open intuitively, there is a depth and a beautiful texture to it that you would not have been able to experience otherwise. So, if I haven't sold you enough on the value of opening up your intuition, well, I think I hopefully I did. Because it is really wonderful. It's like going through your entire life without having taste buds working, right? And your taste buds aren't working and you're like, "Oh, only special people can taste things." And then all of a sudden one day a strange teacher like me comes up to you and says, "Hey, your taste buds are just as strong as everybody else. And here's a 7-week course and go through the course and your intuition will be open." Sorry, wait, in this example, your taste buds will be open. Then you go through the 7-week course and you start tasting things and you're like, "Ooh, this just enhanced my life big time." That is my favorite value in opening your intuition. So keep going, keep focusing on it. Remember that you are a spirit having a human experience, and I want you to have the best experience you can have here. So for this episode, I will end with reminding you exactly how incredible you are, telling you to tell someone you love them today and that I love you.
This is your moment.